The black box was practically the only dark item on her body, and thus meant to be seen, as were the boots. The wedding dress had been intentionally hemmed too short, so it wasn't just the toes of her shoes that protruded, but the entire clunky things. The terrorist wore steel-reinforced toe work boots identical to those of any road construction crew or cable installation dude, except that the boots had been spray-painted white over stencils, so they actually looked like white and cream lace. The shoelaces had been spray-painted white, too. It would have been easy enough, easier in fact, to buy white shoelaces. The caked paint on the laces was disconcerting, and gave the shoes the look of something that would be in a museum, in a big plexiglass case, posturing as art. The veil was so long that it hid part of her waist, so only as she walked at certain angles could you see that she wore a belt that appeared to be made entirely from rounds of ammo, on the side of which was somehow balanced or clipped, as if it were a cell phone. A sawed-off shotgun? Not a soldier of fortune crowd, but it appeared to be a sawed-off shotgun. Despite the artillery, no one took the terrorist seriously at first. Almost everyone assumed that she was part of an artsy ceremony. Both Tess and Gabriel had been very secretive about the details of the wedding, revealing only that it would be intimate. The older guests, who believed in the importance of ritual at a time like this, who resolutely understood that your own wedding was the worst possible time to try to get creative, attempted to smile indulgently. But many of the bride and groom's friends looked genuinely delighted. Not that most of the guests required an armed bride in a gas mask to be alert, amused, and grateful to be there. The groom's sister, Miranda Mobley, was an actress, and as her date she'd brought her current boyfriend, a better-known actor, Trevor Hunter, star of action-adventure movies with comic overtones and a long-running TV cop show. After the bride and groom shoved cake into their mouths, Miranda's car, the actors had arrived in a town car with a driver, would whisk her back to Manhattan in preparation for late-night talk shows. The celebrities sat quietly on their plastic chairs. But as people twisted backwards to look for the bride and groom, their eyes kept snagging on the movie stars. In fact, most people's first thought was that Art Bride was Miranda, harnessed into a supporting role as ironic maid of honor. Once Miranda was located in the crowd, they figured the terrorist was Tess herself. Though Tess had greeted people as they arrived at the house, she could have changed clothes in her childhood home. One or two of the guests, grinning, began to look around for the groom, who they assumed would also be in costume. Gabriel, in his wedding suit, looked as mystified as they did. But they assumed his shock was just part of the performance, even when he craned his neck to find his bride-to-be. Tess was crammed into the back of the room in her blue dress, just another spectator, therefore not Art Bride. And the wide-eyed bride looked even more puzzled than Gabriel. She stood in a clump by the door with the entire catering staff, not only the head chefs, a husband and wife duo in the regulation tall white hats and white Nehru jackets, their names stitched in cursive on the pockets, but all 5 of their young penguin-dressed food service underlings. When the terrorist, voice muffled by the gas mask, boomed in a kind of parodic broadcaster's voice, "Everyone standing, find a chair," everyone began to smile, laugh, and clap. Or almost everyone. Helen Burns, the mother of the bride whose house this was, quickly located Tess in the clump of guests, then Gabriel, then her son, Simon, and her 3 grandchildren, then her tremulous mother in her wheelchair, who wore her usual expression, half happy-go-lucky, half defeated. The Africans also did not appear to be at all amused. The 4 friends of the bride and grooms from Chad and Mali, 3 men and one's wife. Helen had been introduced to them but could not remember their long foreign names, who had traveled here for the festivities, may not have been totally versed in American wedding customs, but they knew a real shotgun from a prop.